Hi, Attorney Jennifer Witt here. If you or a loved one were bit by a dog and you want to know how to maximize that settlement so that you don't get taken advantage of by an insurance company, stay tuned. Hi, Jennifer Witt here again, covering issues about dog bite cases. It's the summertime, I'm getting a lot of calls, and they're tough cases because number one, they typically involve someone you know, like a neighbor's dog, or you're at the park and you really like this dog, but for some weird reason it went after your little one or you. So they're tough on an emotional level, a personal level, and I completely understand that. A lot of people say, it's just, I don't want to do anything because it's my neighbor and I love my neighbor. And that's admirable. Peace in the neighborhood is certainly valuable, but don't let that go too far to where if you have a serious injury, and certainly if it's your child, you do have a responsibility to your child that if they're going to be permanently scarred or dealing with scars that are itchy and aggravating and prevent them from, being dressed in a certain way, you really do have an obligation to look into that. So what I would like to point out in dog bite cases that I think a lot of people overlook or kind of want to rush through that process because it is a friend or a neighbor, or you don't, you love dogs. You just kind of want to put this behind you. Make sure, I say this on all my videos with dog bites, make sure you have animal control or the police come out and document this. Versions change, neighbors move away, witnesses move away. It's really critical you have this kind of unbiased document that, identifies what happened. So number one, that's a given. Make sure you have that report. Even if it's a day or two later, just gather everyone's contact information. And it makes it less awkward because typically they will find out for you what the homeowner's policy is. Don't take that as gospel if they don't get one or the person says, oh, we don't have homeowners. That's not true. In about half of my cases, I usually find out they just don't want to report it to their homeowners. That's a different case. So get that document. Number two, have patience. This is probably the toughest part of dog bite cases. They are not, no matter what you hope for, they are not quick to resolve because they involve scarring. And unlike, maybe you have whiplash or, some kind of injury where physical therapy helps and in 3 or 6 months you're feeling, 80, 90% better. Even if you have a traumatic brain injury and you had migraines initially, you're feeling better at the 6-9 month mark. That is really just kind of getting your first round of scars, kind of giving that impression first to a plastic surgeon, right? You need that 6 months to a year to see how the scars heal, how you feel, where they actually are. Do they, does clothing rub on it? Does it impact your work? Do you work with your hands? Often dog bites are on the hands, and that's really difficult. Sometimes it's on the face, which is, for obvious reasons, a very significant issue for a lot of people. Sometimes people will brush it off, but especially when you're dealing with a child and the structure of the face is changing so much over time, that scar may look very different in a couple of years. And it may require multiple surgeries, and every surgery has risks. So, and I know many people, for obvious reasons, want to wrap up dog bite cases. It's your neighbor, your friend, and you want to put it behind you. Unfortunately, these are not those cases. You really have to wait it out. Not wait past your statute of limitations, but if it's a child, that's extended. So just make sure you are taking a deep breath, realize we're kind of in it for a while, unless, of course, you don't care. Maybe you were, bit on the backside and no one's ever going to see it and you don't care and it's really mild. That's different. But when you're dealing with a child, you really have an obligation, if you are their parent or guardian, to see what is really going to happen. How is it going to affect this child? And because dog bites affect people emotionally in so many ways, and we have service animals everywhere, that can be a debilitating thing for, you have a small child who's witnessed or, been attacked, and they really extrapolate that to all dogs, and it cripples them in social situations. So I really caution you, get a therapist if even for adults, but definitely for children immediately following the attack. It's really, really important to deal with that right at the outset. So again, report, stay patient, and finally, number 3, photographs. Lots of photographs. Dog bite injuries involve scarring for the most part, generally not broken bones. Sometimes they do, but scarring is a really difficult story to tell because you have these gruesome photos at the outset, but by the time you have a trial or mediation, you look pretty good, and they don't walk with you through those weeks and months where you couldn't do the things you loved. You know, you didn't want to pull on that scar. You didn't want someone to see your scar. Maybe you were excited to go to a wedding and you had a really nice, dress, but it exposed too much of your skin where this injury was, and it's embarrassing. And it altered your life in a lot of ways that it's hard to explain in these dog bite cases unless you document it. So photos every day, a diary every day. It doesn't have to be overly dramatic, but if there is an event, tell that story. How did it affect you? Because that's, 6 months, a year, 2 years later, it's kind of hard to explain to a jury what those first few months are like. And they are pretty awful for people with scarring, just because it really limits your mobility. It changes how you feel about yourself when you have these scars healing, especially if you get keloid scars. So definitely do that. If you're seeing a plastic surgeon, they'll kind of do the 1 month, the 3 month, the 6 month, but it's the day-to-day story that I think people really have to hear, how that's affecting you. Sometimes even you have a hard time with your own dogs once you have been attacked by someone else's dog. And there's just a lot to these cases where telling the story is really important so that everyone understands how your life is changed. And certainly for children, I mean, it's just absolutely such a tearjerker when we have those cases come in. It's really, I know right out of the gate, it's going to be heavy and hard, and it's just, and to prepare the parents for the child, it's going to be kind of a slow process. So I hope that you take this information, and I hope your case goes much better than I'm painting this to be, but I think a lot of people rush through it and they settle far too soon, and they don't allow themselves to process the magnitude of what has happened to them and what might continue to happen to them as they heal. So if that's your situation, put on your patient's hat, and I highly advise you consult an attorney and possibly hire an attorney to kind of navigate that for you, because it is a pretty challenging, these are some of the most challenging cases a personal injury lawyer will have to tell that story and to get the best settlement. So I hope that's helpful, and thank you for watching. If you like the content, please hit like and subscribe. Thank you.